Hey everyone, thanks for joining. It's Patty from PS Paper Crafts, and I'm going to make another card that's pretty easy. It's using the Home to Roost set, and this is free during celebration, which ends March 31st, 2019. So a little over a month if you're watching this today. This is the celebration catalog, and on page 11 they have this Home to Roost, and I love even just the weedy kind of things that are in here. The rooster's so pretty. I like the sentiments, and they have some nice projects here that you can use as a sample. I'm using the DSP Designer Series paper out of the annual catalog from Tranquil Tidings, I think. Yep, Tranquil Textures, I should say. So this blue, I just remembered it since I got it as something that I wanted to use as kind of a sky background. And then this also is from that same Designer Series paper package. So let's get started. I have everything already pre-cut, and you can get the sizes, dimensions, and everything on my blog. So don't worry about that right now. And I'm just going to stamp on the circle. This will be for the inside. And I'm going to change the colors. I'm not sure I'm crazy about this. This is Poppy Parade. I don't know. I'm going to change it up a little bit, see which one you like better. So first I'm going to stamp on the circle. This is one of the ovals from the Layering Ovals dies. And I'm going to use my black Memento ink. Oh, I've got stuff everywhere. And just ink it up good. And put them kind of in the center, a little bit toward the top. He looks good there. And then we'll just start coloring. I tried it with the blends. I did some markers, the Stampin' Right markers, and I did some with the colored pencils, the watercolor pencils, and I kind of like the blends the best at this point. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm using, pumpkin pie. Sorry, I feel like I'm a little distracted here. Sorry about that. I like the feathers kind of in the pumpkin pie, so I'm going to do those. And I'm actually going to use the thinner ones because it's very tight spaces. So there's a kind of a marker side and then the bullet point side. So I'm going to use that and just hit these little feathers. And it's nice if you use the tuxedo ink, the Memento tuxedo ink, if you're using these markers, because then it won't get all bleeding with the ink. Sometimes when you use the wrong things together, you might get your black bleeding into your coloring while you're coloring. So these are alcohol-based markers. So the Memento ink is the best one to use. Okay, and then I think I'll use, so this time I'm going to use the Cajun Craze. No. Light Pumpkin Pie. That's not what I want. Calypso Coral, that's what I wanted for the belly, instead of the Poppy Parade. I just wasn't sure if I liked the Poppy Parade. So many color names to remember, right? So this is the lighter color. When you get these markers, there's a light and a dark. And you could do lots of shading with it if you're into coloring and that kind of thing. I just like to color. I don't do all the shading. But they're beautiful for coloring. And I'm going to do his feathers up here with this as well. And then I'm going to use the dark color, Calypso Coral, and just do this part here. See how dark that is? It's a big difference. And then I wanted to kind of get the balmy blue around the eye to match the paper. This is balmy blue. And let's see, what else do I have? Here it is. have it hidden. So I'm using light Bermuda Bay for these feathers. Now I don't really know what color a rooster is, but for some reason this color looked like it would go. And I'm just going to draw it down here. And this you can layer, so if you wanted to make it darker, you can come back in and color it again, and you'll get a darker layer. So I may do that with the Calypso Coral Light. Looks a little light to me, so I'm going to go over and put another layer on it, see if we can darken it up. And I think I may actually do his top feathers here in the darker color. I think that looks pretty. And let's just go over one more layer in the belly. Probably never see a rooster like this again. Okay. And if you go out of the lines a little bit, they have this marker. It's a color lifter, and it works pretty well with the lighter colors. Kind of pushes that ink away. The darker colors, I don't find that it works as well. And you have to make sure these are all capped good. So let's put these aside. And then the other thing is I just colored this kind of little hill that he's on in crumb cake. And I'm just kind of making it a little bit bigger. Then what I did to get these plants to go around it, I made a mask so that I could protect the rooster from getting stamped on, because if I just stamped down, I'd go right over the rooster. So I just cut another one. It's another set of colors. I was playing around with it. These were with the regular markers, the Stampin' Right markers. So I just stamped it, and then I cut around it, and I didn't really care too much about the top part because I'm not going to go that high. So I'm going to take a piece of Post-it note, and then I'm going to get these, and I am using crumb cake ink for this, and I'm just going to stamp whatever you want to be forward in the front. You stamp first and then mask that. So I hope that makes sense. You'll see it when I lift it up. I think it'll make more sense then. Okay. So let's get rid of that. See, so now everything goes around the actual rooster, what you masked. So let's do the inside. On the inside, I didn't put a sentiment. I just put some of the weeds, or whatever you call them. I'm not sure what they are. So I'm going to do them also in the crumb cake. And where did I put them? Here they are. And the way I did this was I just went off, and you know, I had one a little high, one a little low, and then I stamped again to get some texture and different shading in there. So we're done with the stamping. Oh, well, we have to put the sentiment on too, don't we? So let's put this aside. And what I did was I just kind of laid everything out, tried to figure out where I wanted the sentiment, just kind of piece it together before you put it down. And I really wanted the sentiment way up there. So I did the sentiment in early espresso ink. Enjoy the simple moments, I like that. And I didn't have an inside sentiment. I'll just write what I, you know, something that I write myself, nothing, you know, stamped sentiment. And I'm just going to put it toward the top. And the thing with this is, if you didn't like the way it came out, if you put everything down before if you stamp it before you put it down, you could always come around and do this and hide the bottom. But I think that came out fine. Maybe a little bit light. Let's see if we can get a little bit darker. If not, we'll use it the first one. But it's nice to have a second chance to do your stamping. So I think that's a little darker. So we'll put that away. And let me take this bone for my dog. It's making a lot of noise in the background. I'll give it back to him in a minute. Okay, so now we're going to put this on here. So I'm using my liquid glue. See the back of this? It's pretty too. And I'm just going to attach this here, and then I'm going to put some of that burlap ribbon on, because I think that's pretty. And it's kind of country and rustic and goes well with this. So that is this burlap jute is what it's called. So I'm just going to take a piece that's a little bit bigger than my card layer, and I'm going to use this tear tape because it's pretty strong and it will hold this ribbon well. So I'm just going to put a piece on each side. Actually, I think I'm going to put 2 pieces just to make sure it sticks really well. You could use the liquid glue. Sometimes with the jute ribbon, it's a little harder to stick. And this you could just tear. I like to cut it. I know it's called tear tape, but I just like to cut it. Okay, and then once you have this down flat, you just take off the back, the release paper. It's kind of like double stick tape. And just make sure you don't pull up the tape itself. Sometimes you have to really check it good. And then I'm going to just put this, wrap it around. I like to see it from the front to make sure it's where I want it. And then I'm going to just glue the whole thing down. And I'll put some glue on here just to secure it a little bit better. And we'll put this on the card base. Make sure it's opening the right way. And what I did here, you could put another piece of that tape there, but I just took a couple of glue dots with my paper snips, and I just put a couple underneath, snuck them in there. Nobody will ever know, just to kind of hold it down. And we're gonna put this oval over it anyway, but I just like to make sure it's secure. It's a little bit thicker and it's kind of a rough ribbon. And then we'll just attach this. Just one thing to note when you do the stamping blends, it does go through to the other side, so you can't do this on a single layer. You always have to back it with something, because you don't want anybody to see that. You don't want them to open the card and see all that on the inside. Okay, and then I just took some dimensionals and popped this up, and the card is done. Pretty easy. I love this rooster. I got it a while back and I hadn't really used it, and I keep seeing lots of cards out there with it. I was like, I got to get on the bandwagon and make a card with this. So just take off all the release papers, and then press it down. I think I like this one better. I think that red is not the right red as I'm looking at it. I mean, it's good. I wanted it bright. And then on the inside, we'll put this. Just put a little liquid glue on this one. And we are done. Pretty easy. This is a good set for guy cards. I know sometimes we have problems making cards for men, so I think this would be a great stamp set to do that with. Okay, so these are the cards. Boy, I can't talk today, can I? I hope you like them, and if you want to get this for free, if you spend $50 by March 31st, you can get this as a free celebration item, and it's really very versatile. I think it's a good set to have. All right, thanks so much. Bye.